Say what?
Hello and welcome back. It's time for Say What, where we hear from those connected to the industry about what's going on in our world of electrical apprenticeship. And yes, this includes topics that you've suggested to us, so please do keep those coming. I'm your host, Cindy Sandifer. So every time there's a storm, an accident, a blown fuse that knocks power out, line workers gear up and they get out there. They climb poles in freezing temperatures. They work through the night. They face hazardous conditions to restore what most of us take for granted every day. And as the world becomes more reliant on electricity, line workers are responsible for ensuring that the infrastructure can handle the increased demand by learning and working with cutting-edge technologies to make the power grid more efficient and reliable. And it's not just the emergency moments. It's also the installation, maintenance, and repair of the infrastructure that carries electricity from power plants to our homes, businesses, schools, hospitals, factories, and all the other buildings and facilities that make up our communities. Today, we are chatting with one incredibly passionate training director who works tirelessly to ensure that the women and men in his program are prepared to meet the demands of this challenging and rewarding career. Please help me welcome Danny Haddad. Danny, how did you I actually don't know if we've ever chatted about how you got involved in the industry. Do you mind just sharing a little piece of your story? Like, how did you find outside line work?
Yeah, so I got a call from the chairman of the board of Cellcat, and I was working at the hospital at the time, and he said, "Danny, we got your phone number from someone that says they would like to recommend you for this position, that they thought, you had the qualifications that we're looking for." And I kind of talked to him a little bit about it and asked him what the opportunity fully was, and what is the company, what do you guys do, what is the industry. And I looked into it and thought about it for a few weeks, and then I decided I'll go meet with him. And then I flew out and met with the chairman of the board and the secretary in Florida. And they interviewed me, and the rest is history. It's been 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did not come from the industry. I did not know anything about the industry, anything about apprenticeships. I just knew how to run a business. And this was going to be a challenge, and I'm always up to a good challenge. And we did it.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've known you for several years now, and I would have never expected that. You, like, at least my interactions with you, right? Seamless. You do know the industry, you do understand it, and I'm thankful that they brought you in for that business management, right, side of things, because that's important. It's an important skill set to have.
Right. Absolutely. These are large businesses. These apprenticeships are, especially on the outside. And you there's a lot of laws and rules that regulate it, and you got to be on top of your game when you're operating one of these.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a certain skill set that's needed, and of course the understanding, knowledge, experience, all of that plays a part. But to run it, people say it's like a school, others it's like, oh, it's like a major organization, it's work, it's training, it's all of these things. And I know the outside is, different, right? We have all these different facets of our industry. And a lot of people, I feel like when they reference, are more familiar with that kind of inside wireman program. And so I wanted to kind of dig into big picture. Like, people are listening, maybe they don't know a lot about outside apprenticeship programs. And I completely understand everyone is a little different, but you all work really closely together. You have a really close-knit group, right? The training directors
That's
of the
correct.
outside.
That's correct.
Yeah. Which is beautiful because then you can kind of work with each other, bounce ideas, learn, grow together. And I love to see that the synergy that you all have it really is. It's exactly how it should be.
Yeah.
But tell me, give us a little bit of the picture, whether we're talking application, acceptance process, how class work, lab work, and OJT combine. How does that work for you all?
So, as you know, we operate a very large area. So we have the 9 southeastern states, and then we also have the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. And we have apprentices in every single one of our states currently, and in the Virgin Islands and in Puerto Rico. So it's a lot of territory to manage. So when you're outreaching, you got to outreach on a global scale and on a micro scale. So you have to, the way we approach outreach is we want to outreach to the local schools in Georgia, but we also want to outreach to the local schools in Florida and Louisiana and Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama. And then we also want to do global outreach to line colleges throughout our area, and be able to get enough of a qualified applicant to apply to the program. That lately, that does not seem to be an issue at all. So when we open up applications, we are receiving a lot of applicants to the overhead program, for example. The underground program, substation program, still lags a little bit behind in the applicant pool. What we did to alleviate some of the pain when applying to the sub program is we eliminated the need for a CDL to enter the program for substations. And that opened up the door for a lot of folks to apply to the program without the need of having a CDL. For the overhead program, in order to make sure that everyone has a fair shot at applying to it, we contracted with a CDL company, and they do all of our CDL training for those that are wanting to get into the overhead program. And that way they can get a CDL. They'll come here. They usually come here to the Georgia property and do it, Florida and in Tennessee. And, there's quite a few. If you want the opportunity to become a line apprentice and you need a CDL, we found you a way to do it for a lot lower cost than the regular routes, trucking companies or what have you charge. So it works out pretty good. And then basically after the apprentice enters their application online, we go through it. We approve it, and then we schedule them for an interview. After they go through the interview, they get ranked based upon the score that they received through the interview, any previous credit given to them during the interview for work or education. And then they are placed on a rank list. And that rank list is basically from the highest rank on down to 75. We don't put anyone below 75 on the interview score in the rank list. And then when the job calls come in, we go from the highest step on down to fulfill those job calls. In the last, since January, we started out the year very quiet with a lot of layoffs, and that happened industry wide almost. And within the last 3 months, we were able to put every out of work apprentice back to work. This is how busy it's been. We had close to 80 apprentices out of work. We were able to put them all out of work and exhaust a 200-person pending list to where,
my gosh.
yeah, I mean, it has been wild over the last 3 months. This past month has just been crazy. Our substation program has grown from 30 apprentices in the last year and a half to around 200 today. Yeah, that business is blowing up pretty quickly. And it's all these things that we have to navigate through the apprenticeship. Our numbers vary from 800 to 900 at any given moment. I think we're like at 850, 860 right now. And before the end of the month, we'll probably be at 900 again. And of course, you have top outs, you have drops in the process and everything else. So that number consistently fluctuates. So just keeping your arms around it is the toughest part because you have so many rules and regulations that you have to live by. For example, the DOL said one time that you can only have so many people on the ranking list. You can't have 500 people on the ranking list. Why? Because they're not all going to go out to work, and you're given false hope. I understand that logic, but what we're noticing is, it's getting harder and harder just to maintain that number because it goes down so quickly. So, it's a give and take, and now we're a lot bigger than we were. So, those things, they change. So we're actually trying to add more into our ranking list, and that's not a problem everybody sees or everybody hears about. It's just, it was an opinion, not that it was a strong, they weren't like, this is what you got to do or don't do. They're just saying, just be careful with that.
Yeah.
So otherwise, it's the process is really not terrible. The hard part about the entirety of the apprenticeship program, in my mind, is that the uncertainty of when you will go to work. When things are busy like they are right now, things move pretty quickly. When things slow down a little bit, then things don't move at all. So to give you an example, we're holding interviews today and tomorrow here at Cellcat. Things were so slow until this last 3 months that we're interviewing people that finished their applications back in September and October of last year.
So like a year ago, essentially.
Yeah, that's when they applied, and they're just being interviewed now. Because things were so slow, we weren't indenturing until just the last 3 months, and we had so many people out of work, so we had to put them back, and then now we exhausted all of that and our pending list. So we had the interviews scheduled, but we exhausted everything through the process. Not a big deal because we got a ton of applicants. I mean, we continue to move. But it goes to show you the wild swings in our industry. So, you have some people that lose interest when it takes this long. I would say that at least 30 to 40% of all those on the ranking list do not pick up the phone after 4, 5, 6 months of being on the list. We lose them. So it's tough. When I tell you it's a balancing act, you better know how to balance it because it shifts on a daily basis.
And you understand it. It's like, okay, someone's, they want this opportunity, they want this career path, but after 4, 5, 6 months, they may have found a new career or whatever. They may have changed focus. You get that, right? You don't expect them to sit around and wait. But
no, I agree. And a lot of the line college folks, they don't really have to wait because just as fast as we're hiring, everybody else is hiring just as fast. Remember, when things are good, things are good for everybody. When things are bad, they're bad for everybody as well. union, non-union, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So when we have those line college folks sitting there waiting to get into the program, for example, and you have others saying, we'll hire you right now, come on, we'll put you in a truck. It makes it a little bit harder for us to retain those applicants. But a lot of the times, believe it or not, they still come back when the applications open up again because they really want to be union. And that's what I noticed is that a lot of people honestly and truly want to come to the union.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have enough work to send out the masses. But if we did, the masses want to be on our side. I see that.
Yeah, they know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hear it all the time. I've been working for this company for this many years. I really want to become a union lineman. What do I need to do to direct entry to the program, whatever the case is. I see it all the time.
I was going to ask, so you do get a lot of applicants from line colleges. They've gone through and completed, and then they're coming over to you.
Yes.
Yeah. And are they it's obviously not a path. I want to make it clear to anybody listening. You don't have to do that, right? They can come to you with absolutely no experience at all.
Absolutely.
So that's not needed.
It is not needed. We do have so many spots for direct entry for line college folks every year. It's not needed per se to enter the program. Where it does help you in the program is when you do enter, you don't have to attend our climbing school. And we give you pre-credit hours. So you basically start off as a second step if you have line college, and you don't have to attend our climbing school. So a person with line college and work experience could get 1,500 hours to get into the program. So that's second step. And they don't have to come to our climbing school. So they work another 500 hours, which is a couple of months worth of work or so. And now you're third step.
Right.
So,
which is good because they've put in time and from what I understand, a lot of money.
yes.
So it's not like it's a waste and you have to come and start from scratch.
No, it really becomes on par with somebody starting the apprenticeship and doing their first year and becoming a third step apprentice after they finish their first year of work and did the fundamental training school, which is climbing school, basically. Those folks go to line colleges and they spend so many weeks in a line college, day in and day out, and they get some credit for that. Mm-hmm. So it kind of balances out, really.
Right. Yeah, and so you're talking about the way it works. So climbing school, once you're accepted, that would be the next step is to start the climbing school.
We do it a little different at Cellcat. Once we accept you and we have a job for you, we put you out to work. And then within the first 4, 5, 6 months of your indenturement is when we bring you back for climbing school.
Okay. So they're getting a little bit of that OJT, the on-the-job training, experiencing it.
Knowing a little bit about our industry, knowing that they want to do it. And,
right.
And, we put them, so it washes out the folks that don't really want to do it, that thought they wanted to do it, but they didn't. They're usually don't get to that point where they're going to come to climbing school. But once we get them to that point and they get into third step, fourth step and above, then the drop rate becomes just so low once we capture them after that point. Yeah. And, they say the ones that go to line college really want to do this. So, some areas believe that they have not noticed a big difference in the drop rate with those with line college and those without line college. I don't have a scientific study, be honest with you, showing either way.
Right.
But they seem to want to do it. The ones that went through that cost of spending, $25,000 for a program, did it because they really want to enter the field. They
Yes.
did their homework. They decided, look, I want to become a lineman, and this is a path for me to become a lineman.
Right. And so you and I were talking earlier about the training, because obviously there's the work, right? They're going to work, they're getting that on the job training. But how do you do classroom? I'm saying classroom, right? But lab space, how do you all do that?
Yeah. So when we do our climbing school, it's about 2 weeks straight. And then, of course, we house them in our dormitory, and we cater their food and everything else. And then as they progress through the steps, they have to go through step evaluations, skill evaluations along the way. And then we put them through week-long classes. We put them through transformer classes, Transformer 1, Transformer 2. All those are in-person classes. Then we have distribution classes. We have introduction to distribution. We have three-phase distribution. So we have a lot of labs that we put on where we bring them back for week-long trainings to make sure that they're receiving the proper way of doing things, especially when it comes to cover up, especially when it comes to grounding, and we want them to learn the best practices as we have them spelled out in our ET&D.
Right. Yeah, because this is, anything in the electrical field is dangerous because we're dealing with electricity. But I think everyone would agree when you're a line worker, that's a whole different level of caring for yourself, for those around you. What would seem like a simple mistake, simple moment could be life-threatening.
Absolutely. And we don't call it dangerous in the industry because dangerous, OSHA would never allow us to operate. So they call it hazardous.
Hazardous. Yes. Words matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hazardous work.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it is. I have seen things that I never want to see. And but the truth of the fact is, if we follow basic safety protocols and we follow best practices, that greatly reduces the chances of a mishap.
Right. Absolutely. How does storm work? I'm thinking because a lot of times, right, maybe the kind of general public, those that don't have a lot of insight into the work that a lineman does, we see storms. We see those moments where you've got the trucks lined up and they're heading in. How does that affect or impact apprentices when there's storm work? Are they going out on those calls?
Yes.
Do they have to be a certain step? Like, what are the different variations there?
As long as they're working to their step, they can take anyone they want to on storm with them. And most of our apprentices get to go on storm. They like it. It's extra money for them. Sometimes, it's tough on them. But I believe it's a great education during storm. They get to see a lot. They get to see a lot that they probably won't see on a daily basis because you're basically reconducting, rebuilding a whole system sometimes. It all depends on what happens. We look at what's going on in Puerto Rico. That's basically a whole system rebuilt. So they get mobilized with their contractor, and we get a list of our apprentices that are going to be going to storms. And we just make sure that there are parameters on what they can and can't do based upon their and this is part of our reasoning why we started to go online. Why I started that back in 2017 is I noticed that a lot of the complaints that were coming from the apprentice, the contractor, is that the apprentice is unable to go on storm because they have class this Saturday.
Right.
And not that class can get in the way of education, but I also know how much money they're going to be leaving on the table if they don't get to go to storm. So to me, it's unfair for them too. I mean, sometimes these are the moments that they wait for because that's like a little bonus, right? So that's where, now they can take the test while they're on storm. They can take the class. They can sit in on the class while they're on storm. They just have to go to a quiet spot and get online and join their class. So it's working out pretty good. We don't have those complaints anymore. That's just, one complaint that we were able to stop.
Yeah, right. Like one victory. Like I need a win.
One small victory. We take it one victory at a time.
Right. But it really does support the entire industry, the individual, the contractors, the AJTC, like all of them get supported by that ability to work from, and by work, I guess I mean the schooling, right? The training part from wherever they are so that they're able to fulfill the job needs and, still maintain their training schedule. I mean, that's such a big deal.
I agree.
Yeah. So we've been talking about growth. You said you've got Florida, a location in Florida. You've got a location that'll be ready in the Nashville area soon. So you're experiencing all of it, right? The good, the bad, the ugly of growing.
The good, the bad, the ugly. And I didn't tell you about the Puerto Rico location, but there's one there too. It's not as elaborate as just in the back of the hall. But we have an agreement with Luma where we do a lot of the training on their yards at the power company.
That's great.
Yeah, but we do have a full-time assistant down there that works in Puerto Rico and takes care of all of our Puerto Rico apprentices.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, and so this is happening. Like, what do you see? Because you're not the only area-wide that's experiencing this growth, right? And adjusting to it, acclimating. Again, a good thing to have. You don't want the layoffs and the lack of work, but what do you see as needed to help with what's going on across the country, across locations, to help with the growth? Unfair question, right?
A very loaded question. I do believe that working together in the industry, all of us, for the one common goal of making more journey level workers in order for our market share to expand, that is number one for me, is if we all just put that one hat on, and that is to not apprentice our way out of whatever electrical crisis is out there with the shortage of linemen, but at least to help ease the burden by making more apprentices into linemen and in a good period of time. And that means rotating them, continuously moving them about to where they're getting the diversity of work so they can top out in a decent, as the program stated, and not 11, 12, 13,000 hours into it.
Right. And so these partnerships, because I love when you said that, I think it's the power is in us, right? Yeah. The power is in us doing this together, the brother sisterhood, all the things we talk about. You mentioned union, why people want to be a part of it, because it is bigger than one person, one contractor, one location. Do you feel like the partnerships are what really help handle the growth, prepare for the workforce? I mean, that's where the strength lies.
Yeah, if we all work together, it's amazing how much we can accomplish. And once we start to splinter and protect our own little sandboxes, that's when, the issues start creeping up.
Sure. And do you see we'll speak to you, like what you're doing with CellCat. It's not just supporting CellCat or your area. Do you see it really the industry as a whole when you think about like those that work in your area, as well as what's overseen by the IBW and NECA in a national focus? I mean, do you feel like what's happening in that local area, you're really driving for the entire industry?
Absolutely, because we all know that this is a travel trade. And, you know, I did a study, this has been a few years back, probably 4 or 5 years ago, of top dot apprentices, and around 60 to 70% of top dot apprentices go off somewhere else for a few years and then come back home. So yes, I mean, I want to say at least 50%, maybe 40%, 50%. Again, this is unscientific, but that because we have a lot of work here now, so it's more apt to stay at home. But then a lot of them travel. I mean, I can read you exit interviews, and a lot of them say, "I'm gonna travel around for a little while. I'm gonna travel for a little while." So yeah, they're going to chase money. Some chase storms, but at the end of the day, it's all good because everybody always comes back home.
Yeah.
You know, or a very, very large majority of them come back home within 3 to 4 or 5 years, and they're ready to work at home. So, you know, I get it. Some leave, but in the long run, we get them.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know, like just as a person, right? Knowing you have home, you have somewhere to go back to where your roots are, where your people are. And so I love that. It's like, no, I can go explore, adventure. I mean, that's, a beautiful thing for us to take those journeys, but to be able to come back home.
Absolutely.
And to know you're welcome there. But I think another beautiful thing about the brother and sisterhood is wherever they go, ideally, they're experiencing that same kind of welcome. Like, we're together in this. You are us, we are you,
Yes.
And so no matter where you're working on a storm in a different jurisdiction, I mean, that you feel that camaraderie. I feel like the outside industry is really close knit in that way.
Yes, I agree.
And probably the type of work they're doing together, right? The training, how intense it is, the type of work. I mean, do you think that all kind of builds into that moment for them?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, and I believe that it's a tight knit group because there's not a lot of us, right? I mean, there's 9 apprenticeships, and how many do we have on the inside? Something like 240 or something like that.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's just the sheer number. The sheer number makes it to where you're a lot closer. You collaborate a lot more. If I had to collaborate with 250 other centers, it'd be a little different. I may have 10 centers that I deal with all the time, and they're my friends, and then we form this little group, and so that's why it makes it a little bit easier on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And again, creates that bond,
Yes.
Because you're going through things together and experiencing it together and supporting and working together. It's, again, to me, it's one of the many beautiful things about our industry and what we do.
I agree.
And you're still loving it. I think it's very clear, but I'm going to ask that anyway. You're loving what you're doing and enjoying the growing pains, right?
Yeah.
You're like, ask me hour to hour, right?
Minute to minute.
Minute. Okay, at least you didn't go second, right? Like we're minute to minute.
No,
Yeah.
it's definitely rewarding, and I do enjoy it. I enjoy seeing the apprentices and talking with them and finding out how their training is going, and a lot of great people out there.
Absolutely. You being one of them. You're certainly one of, I would never say it on a podcast that you're one of my favorite people, because that would be like really wrong. Yeah. Before we go, Danny, the most important thing we're going to teach everyone is if you can't beatbox, we have a trick.
We do. Boots and cats.
Boots and cats. And so what you do is you say it really fast.
Boots and cats. Right?
Yes. And this is why they listened. All of this.
Yes.
That you can now do party tricks. Danny, thank you. I know you're busy. Yep. You've mentioned interviews and just the influx of the past 3 months, but I appreciate so much you taking time to share. And we look forward to talking again.
Absolutely, Cindy. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you, and you have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too. Thanks, Danny.
Bye-bye.
Danny, thank you. My goodness, thank you. We appreciate everything that you do and the difference that you are making in the lives of so many people and so many communities. Big thanks, as always, to you, the listeners, for taking time to join us. And remember, we want to hear from you. If there are topics you would like us to cover, please send me an email to saywhat, that's SAYWATT, at electricaltrainingalliance.org. Our next episode will drop in November. Until then, you can stay connected with us through our newsletters, blog posts. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to the podcast, go ahead and tell a colleague about it. Stay powered up, and we will see you next time.
Say